And what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Celluloid Psychosis. I'm your host, TJ Bowser, and joining me as always is the very handsome, very British, the king of Salisbury himself, Mr. Paul Ashford. What's up, buddy?
Hey man, I am very good. I'm very good. Very good to be here. Happy to be, excited to be talking about this film.
Yeah, one of your picks.
Yeah, man, I am good. Uh, I've had a pretty good week as well.
Yeah.
It was my birthday. I
Ooh.
turned 47 last week.
You don't look a
Uh,
day over 27.
oh, thank you. So I've been out and about doing quite a lot of stuff. I went to a cat pub. So you've heard of cat cafes, right? But I actually went to a cat pub, which is really cool, very British. Literally a nice little pub full of cats on the bar on the counter. It was really cool. Yeah, man, I've done lots of bits and bobs. I've got some couple of new physical media releases. I got Vamp on a Blu-ray media book, and also the Tom Savini Night of the Living Dead in a padded media book. Some
Oh, and
gorgeous
it
artwork.
looks premium.
Yeah, and it's a nice limited edition from Nameless Media. Yeah, man, it's been good. Car troubles is the only bad thing that's happened to me this week. Still ongoing, unfortunately, but I just get on with it, man. It's been good. It's been a good birthday week, and I'm super excited to talk about this particular film today because I'm really interested to see your thoughts on it because it's very
Yeah,
British.
very British.
How's
No,
your
it was
week?
a. Oh, well, my week's been really fun. I got
Mhm,
a home charger for my truck. For those who are just now listening to the show for the first time, I drive an electric truck, and it's been like
mhm,
this ongoing experiment of what's the cheapest way I can charge this thing. And so far, for home charging, I've only spent $115 for the unit itself. And later this week, I will be looking into doing the plug to get level 2 charging at the house. So looking into that, but that's nerd stuff. Who wants to talk about
mhm.
that? But I made some ads for Toyota today. Sat in a
Nice.
marketing meeting with General Motors corporate today. Did a bunch of car stuff, but
Mhm.
I'm excited to talk about this week's film because, like I said previously, it is a Paul pick. It is a British film, and I'm not really well versed in British films. I mean, I've watched Extra. That doesn't mean I'm like some sort of like expert or anything, but I've
Mhm.
watched Extra. That's my claim to fame with
That's
British
good.
films.
That is very British too. Yeah.
It's a very British film, but this
Mm.
film is even more so, and that is 2000's Love, Honor, and Obey. Now, the reason we're talking about this is because Paul said that it doesn't have a release of any kind. It has maybe VHS.
VHS, and there was a DVD
There was a
way
DVD.
back. Yeah, I
Okay.
believe there was a DVD.
So
Yeah.
out of print media, this
Oh,
is,
yeah.
and it's not on streaming. We actually had to
Nope.
watch a 480p copy of the film.
Mhm. Yep.
That doesn't take away from the film, actually kind of adds something to it,
Yep.
in my opinion.
There is a stream of it on YouTube, obviously not official of any shape or form. I think it's had like 2 million views,
Oh,
some
wow.
crazy amount of views, but, obviously, yeah, it's a real film that has just disappeared. Nobody
Yes.
talks about it.
I
It's
would
just
compare
crazy.
it to, like, a British version of The Sopranos that's a
Yep.
little bit more cheeky.
Mhm.
You know what
I've
I
never
mean?
seen The Sopranos, I'm
Oh,
ashamed to
okay.
say, but I know The Sopranos. I've seen clips, um, and, yeah, I would guess that's
There's just
probably
some
quite
really
accurate.
harsh things talked about, and then there's some really funny bits to, like, combat that, and, like,
Yeah.
that's the whole, like, running gag of this movie is that the
Mhm.
violence is equalized or balanced by the comedic aspects of every scene. So it's kind of like that. I mean, Sopranos has a lot of serious stuff in it, but
Yeah.
this feels like a British version of it in a way.
Mhm.
Like you said, there's mockumentary ways of it. I might kind of see that. I kind of see it as
Mhm.
more of just a snapshot into this. Johnny, is he
Johnny is the,
the clown
yeah, it's
guy?
Johnny Lee Miller. Yep,
Yeah,
clown
okay.
guy, yep.
So when we say the characters' names, there's also the actors' first names. This is in a
Mhm.
series of films by Dominic and Ciano
Dominic Anciano, I believe is how you pronounce it.
and Ray Burtis, who
Yeah,
use this troupe of actors and then use their first names as the
yeah,
character names. So this is
and
the
Constance.
second of 3, correct?
I think they've only done 2 films together. This was the second one.
Mm.
A third one was planned, but I think it
Ah,
disappeared. I mean, this film didn't do very well at the box office. I don't think their first one did either. Which the first one was called Final Cut from '97, I believe, which
I
again,
believe it.
most of the same cast or a lot of the same cast
Who's in it, Ball?
in this film. So we have top billed for some reason is Sadie Frost, who stars as Sadie.
Yes.
We have Johnny Lee Miller as Johnny, Jude Law as Jude, Ray Winstone. You'll never guess who he plays. He plays. We have Kathy Burke as Kathy, Sean Pertwee as Sean. Now this will throw you. Reese Ifans as Matthew. Now I'd love to know why he wasn't called hard to pronounce. I don't know. Denise Van Outen as Maureen. So I think that's the only two actors in the film who don't go by their first name. We have Dominic Anciano, who also directs as Dominic, and of course Ray Burdiss, who also directs, and they also write as well as Ray. Hopefully you can still hear me because I saw my camera flicker then.
Yes, you're fine.
All good. So that is an absolutely stacked cast
It is.
for British. That is a huge cast. So
And
it's
let me read that plot, Polly.
yeah, man.
Johnny is working as a courier and becoming increasingly dissatisfied with his life. He asks longtime school running friend Jude to help him into the North London criminal gang run by his Uncle Ray, who loves karaoke. As Johnny gets more involved in the image of the criminal world, he starts making mistakes, and through a mutual dislike for rival gangster Matthew with a bad haircut, inadvertently starts a war with the South London mob, headed up by Sean.
Well, you sound just like the American trailer for this movie, which completely made it look like a different film altogether.
Yeah,
So,
so this film's wacky. It's got
yeah,
some deaths in it, but it's really not taken that seriously.
no,
There's like the dual assassination scene that sticks out in my head where
hmm
Johnny shoots the two people
yeah,
and
just out of nowhere,
out
boom,
of nowhere. And
yeah,
then we get some really cool splatter effects in that scene.
yeah, not even a
But
silencer on his gun. You thought he'd have a silencer on something because obviously it's in a council estate, isn't it?
yeah.
Car park, but
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
way that this movie is framed, like told to you,
hmm
is through Johnny's excerpt or Johnny's short journey in the London criminal world.
yeah,
Johnny's introduced by this Jude guy to his Uncle Ray, who's like this local crime boss. Like I said,
North
Sopranos, think Tony
London,
Sopranos,
hmm
but he loves karaoke and he has a much better relationship with his wife, kind of.
hmm
We are introduced to a scene where he asked her to marry him. I guess not his wife, but it's his fiance.
yeah,
And he refuses to acknowledge what he's actually asking her and
yeah,
just kind of repeats to say yes or no, yes or no, yes or no as he gets into a car and drives away. And that's
yeah,
kind of where we're introduced to like, what the hell's going on? What is
hmm
this film going to be like tonally? And then it just gets progressively more insane from there. And then
yeah,
there's this running motif where Paul can say that's where the mockumentary thing gets brought in.
hmm
You see interviews with this Johnny character dressed as a clown, but there's no
yeah,
real context to why that is till the end of the
no,
film. Paul?
yeah, yeah, keeps you guessing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my introduction to this film. So I saw this when it first came out on VHS. So I'm talking like late 90s. So the two directors, Dominic Anciano and Ray Burdiss, had a TV series in the UK called
Oh,
Operation Good Guys.
okay.
And I watched that and I thought it was hilarious. Very similar to this. It's literally The Office, but done with the police force. Obviously, this was years before The Office was a thing. Um, and I just found it hilarious, really funny. Pretty much most of this cast was in the TV show. I just thought it was brilliant. It was like it really was a fly on the wall mockumentary of this London police force, they're like a special force, and they were hunting down some master criminal, and it was done very much like this. And I just thought it was brilliant. And obviously, through being able to Google and stuff, I found out that they had done a film called Final Cut, um, and they had a film coming out called Lover on a Bay, which was this one. And I didn't see it in the cinema, but I saw it as soon as it came out on video, and I just fell in love with this film.
Yeah.
I thought it was so good, but criminally, no one knows about it. I mean, I remember it coming out, and it got absolutely slaughtered by the critics. I don't think it had the best reviews from people that watched it either. I mean, the TV show, I think they won a couple of awards for the TV show. The TV show was well received. It got 3 series in the UK on BBC. But for some reason, this film just did not land. I've seen people say that maybe it's because the gangster films were coming a bit, were getting a bit sort of passé by this time. So this came after the likes of Reservoir Dogs, Lock, Stock, Smoking Barrels, all that sort of good stuff. Obviously, a completely different tone and everything to those sort of films. So I don't know if people, I mean, if people had seen that American trailer, they would have been, oh, it looks like another boring gangster
Yeah.
film. Whereas it's nothing like that.
Oh,
Or on the
contrary.
other side, if they'd seen that trailer, oh, this looks really good, and they started watching the film, they'd be like, what the fuck is this? And just
Yeah.
turned it off. So yeah, it's just so criminally underrated, the film. I remember I thought it was hilarious. I remember I was working at a game shop at the time, and we all rented it and we watched it. We thought it was hilarious. We watched it several times, and we used to talk about it. We used to quote it.
Mhm.
And that was, I'm talking like, yeah, early 2000s. I mean, the film was made in 2000, so it's probably about 2001 that this came out on video.
Yeah.
And we loved it. We watched it so much, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah.
I remember, I'm sure a DVD did come out of
If
it.
a boutique Blu-ray picked this up, like Blu-ray company, who would you want it to be?
Uh,
Of course, it'd have to be British.
it's got to be
My
Arrow.
pick would be Indicator.
Yeah. Or I'd say Arrow. I mean, it's actually a BBC film, so
Oh,
yeah, BBC. If they actually pulled
they
their
do have
finger
their
out,
own thing, don't they?
yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah. So if
Maybe
anything,
that's why.
yeah, but it's just so criminal that it's just disappeared. I mean, just the cast alone, surely should sell copies of this on physical media. But yeah, I hadn't watched the film in absolutely forever, so it was really nice to come back and watch it again to do this episode. And
Mhm.
I remembered a lot of the one-liners. A lot of it I didn't remember. Some of the scenes and that, and how funny it was. And
Jude Law, how old do you think he was in this?
he was, I've got to say, early 20s maybe. So
You think?
I mean, it was filmed in 2000, so this was just after Existence.
Ooh. So he would
Uh,
have been 30.
30. Okay.
Well, 28. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he must have done this just before he really exploded as a big actor.
Mhm.
So I think Existence was just before this. I think Talented Mr. Ripley was 2001.
I
I
want to
guess
say you're
that's the
right.
movie that really pushed him off. So yeah, he obviously became a huge
And
Hollywood
he's
movie
in
star.
that new Star Wars program as well.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Skeleton Crew, which I heard is Goonies in space.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it sound brilliant, to be fair.
He was
So
also in Spielberg's AI movie in 2001
yes, and he looked very similar to this because he's got this sort of slick hair
and
and the
Road to Perdition as well in 2002.
there you go, yeah. So his career really kicked off after this
Mhm.
movie. Not because of this movie, I don't think, but obviously after this movie, he became a huge star, which again surprises me why this didn't get a better release.
Oh, he did
They
do
could
that
have.
Wes Anderson film too, Grand Budapest. I completely forgot about him being in that.
Was he in that?
He is in that film.
I don't remember that. I saw that quite recently too.
We're gonna have to rewatch it just to see Jude Law.
Yeah, he did guest star in an episode on Operation Good Guys too.
Mhm.
So obviously he is friends with the directors, writers of this movie. But yeah, my initial impressions, I absolutely love this film. It's my exact sort of humor. I mean, I love the TV show, and this movie
Oh yes,
kind of took it to the next level.
very raunchy British humor, adult humor. There
Yeah,
was a lot of. I wouldn't say there's like blatant sexual nudity. There's sexual situations galore.
yeah.
Uh,
So there's a really funny. So it's where the movie starts off. It's Johnny. He's a postman. He's low on life. He wants to get into this gang of his old school friend Jude.
mhm.
Jude's they have a chat, and then he's like, "Yeah, it's family fun. I don't know." And he brings him along to a night.
He
Obviously, maybe,
expresses the danger of the job
yeah,
and that he doesn't like to mix the fact of his friends with the business, aka
hmm
his family.
yeah. And
And
they go,
it kind of
they go,
foretells the ending of the movie.
exactly that. And they go to this nightclub where Ray is there, the gangster, the North London gangster leader, which is his uncle, Jude's uncle. And it's all serious. And then suddenly the two security guards at the front, the two doormen,
Oh
it
my
cuts
god,
back to
that
them, and they just
conversation.
start talking. He just starts telling them that he's having trouble getting a hard on because his wife caught him having a wank, basically.
Yes.
And you're just like, what the hell? This was like serious a minute
You got to
ago.
understand, the bone slides from the back and then
Yeah,
up in.
it goes up. Yeah. And that's the two directors as well, the two directors and
Yeah.
writers. So it's literally back and forth. You get a serious scene, and you get like a funny.
That's another running gag throughout the film is the Balder guy's impotence.
Yeah. Him trying to
It's
get it back.
and then that leads to one of the funniest scenes in the entire film, of course, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So I just love how it goes from like serious or semi-serious to like
Mhm.
complete comedy and back to serious. It's kind of the tone is a bit all over the place,
Well, it's
but it works.
serious whenever we're seeing our characters, Johnny,
Yeah,
interact with Matthew,
yeah,
because that's always hostility. And then
yeah,
any other time you see Ray, he's kind of like, unless he's being mean to Johnny for
yeah.
something bad he did, there is this. Oh, by the way, Sadie Frost marries Jude Law.
What, in real life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just throwing that out there. I just put the two and two together, like the Sadie
Yeah.
Frost is Sadie, because I'm silly. Anyway, but that's the only times like we see those brief glimpses of the real scary criminal mob stuff is when
Yeah.
Johnny's performing that
Yeah.
stuff or interacting with Matthew or Ray's scalding him for doing it wrong.
Yeah,
Paul?
because Johnny's kind of like he wants to be a serious gangster,
Yes.
so everyone else is just having a bit of a laugh. So he's coming out of all these. Yeah, I've got this credit card scam. It's going to really work, and he's telling them about it. And that's what gets them into the gang. And they obviously try it on that in that big shop. Their
It
credit
doesn't
cards
work.
fail. They'll end up beating the hell out of the shop guy. But every time Johnny's just like, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to be serious. And he keeps getting agitated by all the silliness, like when they're dressing up at
Yeah,
their
because Ray's more of like, yeah, we're gangsters, we're criminals, but we're laid back. We kind of
yeah
perform our stuff and then really enjoy our lives. Why do we have to be stressed out at the same time of doing this?
yeah
And then Johnny's like overzealous and is like, we got to go fight wars with the other gangs. He's like,
yeah
no, we're all at peace. Let's just kind of stay in our territory. We only
yeah
start shit if people cross into our territory. Where we see that interaction with the machine and the shop owner. Paul, you want to explain
yeah
that scene?
yeah. So he's got him all these credit cards that he's been stealing through the post
Mhm.
because he's a postman. And they're in the shop. They're in some posh London clothes shop, racking up many £1,000 bill. And obviously, the guy brings out the card machine, puts their card in, and it brings up the wrong name, and it declines it. Try another one, it declines it. Um, and they all just end up decking the guy, don't they? Beating him up. Um, but then Johnny, they all run off with all their clothes. I think it's a great laugh. And then Johnny runs back in. The bloke's on the floor being beaten up, and he asks him where the tape is for the camera.
Yeah.
Eventually gets it out of him. And they go back to Ray Stone, and he's like, "What the hell happened? Blah blah.
Yeah.
You're going to get me in. I could get 15 years for this, that." And then he goes, "The only guy that did anything good was Johnny because he got the tape, and this could have been me in jail." And that kind of cements him into the gang, doesn't it? And then it just kind of goes from there. The next scene, I think, straight after that is they're all in the pub celebrating, and there's a character called
When does the scene happen whenever they find the rival gang's
Coke.
machine? No, their machine in the business, and then they have to and then like the guy in the background's destroying the machine and the other
Oh,
guys.
sorry, yeah, you mean the fruit machine?
Yeah, it's really
Oh,
early in
yeah.
the
That's
movie.
that's a little bit later on. Yeah.
Oh, it's early.
Oh,
It's later on.
sorry,
I
I
thought
thought
it
you
was
meant the
earlier.
card machine. I thought you were talking about
Yes,
the credit
yes,
card
because then they
machine.
call the other guy, and that's when we're first introduced to the rival gang. Is when they call the guy, says, "What the hell are you doing with your card machine?" And
That's
they're
right.
like,
No, you're right. Yeah,
"Yes."
you are right because that's the really good scene as well because
You get
they're
introduced to Matthew as one of the sidekicks, and then like the other rival gang
yeah.
guys. Yeah,
So they're in Johnny and Jude are in one of their pubs, and they notice that the fruit machine, or is that what you call it? Do you have them in America? You must. Yeah, I saw them when I went to Vegas. They're like gambling machines. We call them
yeah.
fruit machines. It's a different one. So obviously they run they run
For
the pubs
those
in
of you who
London.
don't know, in the organized crime world,
Yeah,
they put gambling machines with the mafia's symbol or
yeah,
mob's symbol on the side in certain shops that they are protecting,
yeah, yeah,
and to put your machine there is infringing on their territory. Paul,
yeah.
continue.
So they're in this pub and they realize the machine and their machines have gone and there's a different machine in there. And
Yes.
they figure out this is from a South London gang, not the North, not them who are the North London gang.
Uh-oh.
So Jude rings Ray and is telling
Yeah.
him, yeah, we're in the pub and it's one of Sean's machines is here, machines.
Sean
And
has short guy syndrome so
yeah,
bad.
yeah. And Johnny starts smashing it up. And then Ray gets really upset and he thinks there's like a big fight going on. He gets a gun, then he grabs a gun. He's trying to call the rest of the gang. None of them are answering their phone. They're all pissing about. Eventually, Ray turns up all tooled up and they've got the machine smashed on the floor. Actually, they're making me say machine now. The fruit machine. And Johnny's got the bartender pinned up to the wall and he's written mug on his
Yes.
forehead, which becomes a reoccurring theme in this film, which
It's
eventually,
essentially if Johnny's involved or if something bad happens and that's
yeah,
involved, it's because of Johnny.
yeah, Johnny, yeah. So that happens, and that cements him into the gang, doesn't it? Because again, they have a big meeting after that. The whole North London gang does, and Ray's having a go. Say, what if I give you phones? Why you not answer him? You know, they could have been trouble, and because it cuts to the other guys. They're not answering their phone. There's the two guys talking about their sex life, and there's the guys in the sex shop.
Can I pause real quick?
Yeah,
As an American who doesn't understand British slang,
yeah.
why is calling somebody a mug so bad?
Essentially, it's like they're a gullible, a bit of a pushover, an idiot. So like you absolute mug, like you've been mugged off. Have you heard that? Oh mate,
No,
you've
that is a cultural difference in
okay.
a slang thing, and I think that's something that we should highlight here.
Oh, we use it a lot over here. Yeah,
Yeah,
are you mugging me off? You've mugged me off. Like, yeah,
whenever
you've
I hear the
pulled the
term
wool over
mug,
my
I
eyes.
think of
That
either a
sort of thing.
coffee mug or somebody like making a face or describing an
No,
ugly face. That's how I
no.
describe
A
it.
mug is like a pushover, like an idiot. Like
Oh,
you've made a mug of me. Like you've embarrassed me. That kind of thing. So
makes sense.
it's like it's a harsh slang word. It's yeah. Um, so again, Johnny gets in because the other guys are all pissing about or not answering their phones.
Mhm.
And that's when Ray says, right, I want you to go and see Sean at South London and tell him about, tell him that he should be taking over our
Who's
machines.
the Middle Eastern looking fella?
Middle Eastern looking fella.
He has the darker complexion, and he's the one who at the end has the AK-47, and he's the one who has the Viagra pills.
Oh yeah, that's Dominic. That's Dominic Dom.
Ah,
He's the
okay.
director
Okay.
slash co-writer
Okay.
slash co-writer. Yeah, yeah. He's cool. I like him. He's the one that's going out with Maureen, or Denise Van Outen.
Mm.
He's like this. He's kind of like the sex mad guy, whereas the other
Yes.
guy is the one that's
That
struggling.
scene when she
Yeah.
has the absolute massive cucumber and she's
Yeah.
like visually showing how to
Yeah.
oral sex.
And
And
Ray's like, no, no, it's not doing anything.
but they're
No,
doing
no.
it at like a table and they're all gathered around and she's like, "So here's
Yeah.
what you do." Because then
Yeah.
there's like the whole conversation where Dominic and Ray are talking. He's like,
Hmm.
"Have you ever tried using other things?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like food.
Yeah. Yeah. And they also they get them to go to marriage counseling. Well, not
Yes.
marriage counseling, is it? It is marriage counseling. Yeah, and they're
Yes,
talking
it's
about
marriage counseling, and then
yeah, yeah. And
Ray
obviously
gets
he
really
gets
upset.
yeah, because the guy says, do you masturbate?" And he's like, "What?" He's like, takes it really. Of course I don't
Just
masturbate.
that one time.
Yeah, and like Kathy as well. It's like, yes, you do. Go on, you
It's
do. I know you
normal to
do.
masturbate,
Yeah.
honey.
But yeah, anything with those two in it is hilarious. Every scene is hilarious.
I one of the funnier things is too. Have to mention it is that we see a scene of Dominic having sex with his wife,
Yeah,
and his wife's hanging out the window,
yeah,
talking to people as they walk by, so
yeah.
they don't really see what's going on.
Hmm.
Later in the film, that is then mirrored
Yeah.
by Ray having sex with his wife after he
After
gets
he's had the
Viagra
Viagra. Yeah, yeah,
uh, out the window. And there's a really funny scene of the dude from the dude walking's perspective looking
Yeah.
up. And all you see is her head moving back and forth and her waving.
And he's like, he literally copies what Dominic was doing. He's like, "Oh, yeah, speak
Yeah.
Italian to me, speak Italian to me," and she's like, "Full Vidal Sassoon." Yeah, but yeah, it's so good. But I forgot what I was going to say about Johnny now. The yeah, the way Johnny meets South London for the first time is after the fruit machines, like you said. I just love the scene when they're having that meeting and he's grilling them all for not answering their phone. And then, yeah, he goes, I want you to take Johnny to go and see South London and sort out this fruit machine thing. And it's just that scene where he cuts to Fat Alan. He goes, "Who is South London?"
And we have to preface, everything's a dramatic fade away.
Yeah. Yeah.
For no
And it
fucking
fades away, and it's Sean Pertwee and I forgot the other guy's name, who's his henchman, singing Fireball XL5 on
Yes, there is a lot of
karaoke.
karaoke,
A lot of karaoke.
like, so they're not unnecessary. What they do is they normally contrast the character in a situation,
Yeah.
and the song may have something to do with that situation, right,
Yeah.
Paul? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So it just goes, who is South London? And then just cuts to Sean Pertwee and the other guy singing Fireball XL5 on a karaoke. It's just a real good intro to him. And then obviously the next thing is this is like Johnny's it's his first meeting with South London. I think he wants to make an impression. So obviously Jude's doing all the talking. And then straight away Johnny is eyeing up Rhys Ifans, who plays Matthew. And it just spirals from there, doesn't it? I mean,
That back and forth thing throughout the
I mean,
movie, you guys have
I
to
mean,
watch that to believe it. It's hilarious.
yeah, as funny as this film is, the tension between Johnny
They're
and
very real.
it's real, yeah.
And I think
And
a scene where it comes to the head, and we'll skip a little bit forward here, doesn't
yeah,
really spoil anything, is whenever Johnny meets Matthew at his house and tries to
oh
shoot
god,
him, and his
yeah,
family's right inside the house, and
that's
the gun
bad.
misfires twice.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then he just hits him with the gun and runs away. And then
yeah,
his wife looks at him like, "You almost died."
yeah. And he's like, he's peed himself, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's
And
like,
like
he's
you're
let
like,
himself
"Holy shit."
on the doorstep of his own house.
Yeah.
That was like, wow. But yeah, that first scene, I forgot what I was going to say about it. Now, when they first meet up and Johnny does a cardinal sin. So like Jude's doing all the talking.
Yeah.
And then Sean Pertwee, the South London boss, goes, "Oh, Ray's getting on a bit now." And Johnny peps in, then he goes, "No, I'm going to stop you there, Four Eyes." And then the scene, again, it fades out. There's your favorite fade out, and it shows them two at the bar. And Sean like shakes his hand and goes, "Yep, have whatever you want. I'll
Is
see you
that
later."
the one where the short fat guy is like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can have a knife, but if you know martial arts, you can pretty much disarm anybody." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, really?" And then the
Fat
guy's like,
Alan.
"Try it." He's like, "Okay, do it." And then the guy's like, gets all ready, and then the guy just kind
Yeah.
of like reaches over and stabs him in the gut
Yeah.
really slowly.
Oh, he's
And it's
got
like,
me.
"Oh my god, he's got me! Oh
He's
my
got me in the
god, I'm
gut.
bleeding! I'm
Yeah.
stabbed!" And then it just leads to some of the funniest fucking stuff ever,
Yeah.
because they escort him outside because he's yelling that he's been
Yeah.
stabbed and he's in
And they
pain.
just leave him, don't they, against the
And then the camera just puts him directly in the middle of the camera,
Yeah.
and he's just standing outside, and you
Yeah.
see like these extended periods of time. He's like, "Oh, it's really starting to hurt now." Ah! And it's just too funny. The whole
Yeah.
sequence is very well done, Paul.
Definitely. Yeah, I love it. It's and that's Fat Alan or Perry. He's called Perry, but everyone calls him Fat Alan. And yeah, throughout the film, he is like it becomes a running joke, everything that happens to him. So he's stabbed in that scene. Later on in the film, he gets blown up. So there's one scene. So again, the Matthew and Johnny rivalry is escalating really bad.
Yeah.
Matthew thinks he's about to firebomb the car with Johnny in.
Yo.
With Johnny in, and it ends up that it's poor Fat Alan driving the car.
So when he does fireball him, it doesn't kill him. There's this really funny scene where you see him very fucking jarred. And he's like, "Oh, we'll go home. Have myself a cheese sandwich." I think I left my gas on.
Yeah, that's it. And this comes after poor Fat Alan in one of the probably the strongest scenes of the film. He gets tortured by the South London gang, doesn't he? With
Yeah.
when him and the tough guy, what's the tough guy's name? Who's like a real ex-SAS soldier, army boy they call him.
Oh, I can't even remember
I
now.
can't remember what his name is. Bill? Is it Bill?
It's Bill.
Bill, yeah. So there's a scene when they go around and South London kidnap him. And obviously Bill is a genuine, real badass ex-SAS soldier. And of course they take it all out on Alan. They literally they feed him LSD, take off his clothes, basically make him become a dog. He thinks he's a dog, so he's barking, and they feed him pedigree chum, dog food. That's actually, and they're ready to kill him, aren't they? Like they put the marigolds on, and they're like, right, get the bath going, and let's finish this. But obviously, Bill, such a tough guy, he wakes up when he's been knocked out, and he grabs poor Fat Alan, and they like dive out the window, don't they? Smash through the window, and out into the street. Obviously, the gangsters flee, and then that's it. They're back in. He's in hospital.
Well, he throws him through the window.
Yeah.
They threw me through the window.
Yeah. And he's like in the hospital bed trying to explain everything that happened to him. And then you see that scene of Ray talking to the doctor. He's like, yeah, well, he's a stunt man.
They sodomized him with the toilet bowl cleaner,
yes,
right?
That's right. The toilet brush.
Because whenever they first walk in, they just say he started defecating properly, right?
Yeah. So all of the bad stuff happens to poor Fat Alan or Perry.
Yes.
Oh
my God, he stabbed me.
Yeah.
That scene, it's too funny.
There's just so many great scenes in this film. Would you have a favorite scene, do you reckon?
So my favorite scene is there's a lot of sequences in this film where we see the characters dressed up really funny. There's a scene where they're dressed up in Middle Eastern garb and they're having a meeting with the South London gang. Yeah. Now, they're dressed up because, of course, like I said at the beginning of the episode, the leader of the gang, Ray, is getting married. So his wife is forcing him to dress up in all these different outfits throughout the film because of their marriage.
She wants some really expensive diamonds, doesn't she?
Yes. So he's dressed up and pretending to be some sort of Middle Eastern prince or king of something. Mm-hmm. So they have this meeting, and right before the meeting, on the way, that character Dominic gives everybody Viagra pills. So everybody's popping a bunch. So they have this meeting, but they all have ragers the entire time. And they all have but the funny thing is they all are wearing these Middle Eastern garb, long dress things. But they all have massive hard-ons, and they're all just interacting each other, completely devoid of reacting to the hard-ons, but just reacting normal. And it's funny as hell.
And obviously they end up stealing the diamonds from the guy, and they tie the guy up, don't they, so they can get away. And obviously he's seeing all of these hard-ons, and he's like, "Oh, please be gentle with me. You don't need to tie me up.
Use lubricants.
Just please use lube." And they're like, "What? Obviously, he thinks they're gonna, do that with him, and they're like, "No."
It's not that type of movie, man.
Yeah. But I don't know what my favorite scene is. I mean, it's just so many. It's just constant laughs. But I think the dog scene with Perry, that's probably one of the strongest scenes, I think. Because it's just so, but it's poor Perry or Fat Alan gets involved in everything. He is like the
they feed him LSD.
Yeah.
And then they make him act like a dog.
Yeah.
and then fucking the other guy throws him through a fucking window.
Yeah. He's already been stabbed by Johnny.
Yeah.
And
then they poke the hole. They put their finger in the stab wound.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then then gets blown up in the car with a fireball. And then you just see him in hospital covered in bandages, don't you? And then literally at the end of the film, they're ripping him as well. Even Ray, at the very end of the film, Ray's getting married. They're all doing karaoke, and he's like,
we're not going to spoil the end of the film. The end of the film is really well done. It's probably the most serious moment of the entire film. Yeah. I wouldn't say it comes out of nowhere. You're kind of like, oh, that's what happens when you take things too seriously. So we'll kind of let you guys go out and try to find this and enjoy that, because it's a really good.
It's dark at the end.
It is dark
compared to the rest of the film. You're just like, whoa, what is going on?
But also the way it's shot, super artistic.
Yeah,
Super.
Yeah. Very clever.
You can't
Very
see no
cleverly done.
walls. They just come out of infinite darkness in the
Yeah.
frame. Really
So
good stuff.
like we said, all through the film, Johnny's narrating, and the bits you see of his face, he's sat in a clown's outfit,
Yes,
and it all becomes apparent at the end what's going on.
because
And it,
he's the clown, man.
yeah, exactly, yeah. He's the clown, even though he's the one that's trying to take this all so seriously. I mean, that massive gunfight as well, again, is all Johnny's doing. But he just takes everything to the next level. I actually feel, honestly, I felt really sorry for him because he just wanted to be part of the gang.
Yeah.
He didn't like all the silliness. He didn't like all the jokes. He was like, "No, let's do this." And obviously, they hear where the coke, where North South London's coke is, um, and then he ends up going and stealing it. Jude lets him do it, and he ends up shooting both the guys, steals the
Mhm.
coke, and then it just escalates badly from there. He finds Matthew's car. He destroys it. Then he writes mug on it as well. And obviously, when he steals the coke, again he spray paints mug on the back of the car. So he's just absolutely. I mean, that he was stupid doing that,
Yeah.
and that really sets them up for a big fall. That you think is going to be a big fall that happens towards the end of the movie. But again, this is interspliced with some hilarious comedy.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's just so funny. It's got an amazing cast. Um, I thought maybe is it too British for audiences outside of the UK? But I think you found it funny, right?
Yes, I found it very funny. It's just some of the slang, like I said earlier, mug. If you didn't understand mug, that's probably the only disconnect.
Yeah, yeah. But and some of the cutbacks as well. So we talked about the dog scene with poor old Perry or Fat Alan. So while that's going on, which is very serious because they're in trouble because they
Mhm.
are handcuffed by the South London gang, it's cutting back to Ray Winstone, Ray's character with Sadie, and there's been a tabloid, the news article where they took a picture of her with with a co-star from the TV series she's shooting, which Ray doesn't like, and basically he's trying to make up to her, and he they're making him go and apologize for his girlfriend, his mother-in-law is, and she's like, "Oh, look at him, he's just like a little puppy dog," as he walks away, and it literally cuts to Perry in the other scene, or fades out, as you say, and he's being force-fed dog food. Um, and then, then it does all that, and then it cuts back again to the people, to Ray, and he's made up with Sadie,
Yeah.
and his mother-in-law's watching, and she goes, "Oh, look at him! He's just like all the men. His bark's worse than his bite." And then again, it cuts back to the gangsters, and it's Bill who wakes up from being punched out, and he bites that guy in the neck, doesn't he? The one, the London gang, bites the guy in the neck,
Yo.
literally off camera. You just
Well,
hear the
they take him
gurgling.
into the shower to fucking murder him and
They
essentially
kill him.
chop
Yeah.
up his body. And he headbutts the one dude and then
Yep.
like latches onto the neck of the other guy and doesn't let
Yep.
go until he rips off a giant portion of his skin,
Yeah.
essentially
And he's
saving
dead.
both of them. It is a
Yep.
gruesome scene, but you're definitely rooting for them, and it's cool as
Yeah.
fuck.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, it's just wild how it goes from one thing to the other like that.
Mhm.
It's like comedy, serious, but it just for me it works. It just really works. But yeah, it all leads up to this amazing finale, which we're not going to spoil.
No,
Right. So yeah,
I haven't seen a lot about this film written online. Not a
no,
lot of
it's
people
it's
talk about it.
it's crazy. It's
Mhm.
just really crazy. Again, if you see the critics' reviews, most of them completely pan this film.
Yeah,
They say it's not funny. It's all over the place, and it's just like it's
they're
crazy.
fucking idiots.
Yeah, I just don't
I will
understand.
have to say the few modern reviews I have seen understand this
Yeah,
because of other things that have come out since that
yeah,
kind of put this more in perspective.
hmm
You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. But this,
This was way ahead of its time.
yeah,
Way ahead of its time.
but there's no way to watch this film. It's just crazy
No.
unless you get in the old VHS or the old DVD,
I
or
think
you're
it's time to start a
watching.
public petition to the
Yeah,
BBC.
unless or you're watching the dodgy stream of it on YouTube, which someone's put up.
Damn it.
It's crazy, especially as a BBC film. Why is it
Yeah.
not on iPlayer? You think it'd be streaming or something, but it's not. It's just mysteriously disappeared.
Maybe
Um,
because it's so raunchy.
yeah, it's not. I mean, you don't see anything, do you? It's just suggested a lot of it,
Hey, you
and
have government funded porn over there, so
yeah, it's strange. It's which is sad because it's such a great film, such a great film. And just the cast. I said before, but the cast is just amazing. To get all these stars in one movie is just incredible. I see Ray Burdiss. He's still doing a lot of stuff now. He's just actually directed. I found out reviewing, researching this. He's just done a new gangster film called
Oh,
Gangster's Kiss, and it's got Sadie Frost in it. So
nice.
I might have to check that out. But Dominic Anciano, I don't know what he does now, but doesn't look like he's involved in film or TV anymore. His IMDb is gone quiet, so I don't know what he's up to nowadays. But obviously, all the stars in this movie are all huge. They're all doing stuff still. We didn't mention actually Mark. Mark is the guy who is doing the wedding for Ray. He's looking after the wedding. That's actually Ray Burdiss' younger brother. And he has some funny scenes as well because he kind of turns like a super camp wedding planner, doesn't he? And yeah, so you can tell everyone had a massive laugh doing this film. And of course, it's very improvised. I think a lot of the
They feel like almost sketch comedy bits sometimes.
yeah. So I can compare it to The Office almost, like a gangster office.
Oh, Office is the UK thing, so like,
Yeah, but I saw the US office. I always preferred the US office to the UK office.
okay, fair enough. Maybe because the
Um,
cast is better.
yeah,
Minus,
yeah,
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 yeah, you know what I'm talking about,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it's just such a great film, and people are just crazy that it's not had a Blu-ray release, at least a Blu-ray release, or it's not on streaming.
Arrow Video, come on
Yeah,
now.
come on, let's do a double bill. They put a Final Cut on there as well. Which
Yeah,
I
let's
haven't
go.
watched that since early 2000s, but I remember watching it and thinking it wasn't as good as this, but it was their first film, and I think it was done on a even lesser budget than this one was.
You know, Severn could be a good one for this as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mhm,
But yeah, it's absolutely screaming out for a release. I think it would do better now, or get a better reception, like you said, more modern reviews of.
mhm.
It's got much kinder reviews than it did when it was first released.
How would you rate
So,
this, Paul?
for me, it's an easy 4.5 out of 5 because I
I will
just love the
have to
film to
agree with
death.
you.
Yeah, it's just so it's one thing this film is not. It's not boring. It's quite long
No.
actually. It's what 2 hours long. It's quite a long film to be
Hour
fair. But
and 30 minutes.
oh, is it? I thought it was like 2 hours long.
No, I was like, wow, this is a breeze.
But it's funny. It's just so funny. Um, and it's just full of improvisation as well. I'm sure a
Mhm.
lot of the lines in this movie have just been improvised by the cast on there and then, and you can tell they're all having an amazing time. They all
Yes.
get on with each other. They've all starred in stuff together before, so they just know what's going on. So yeah, I just love it. It's such a good, easy to watch film. Very funny,
Mhm.
some good action, but also some quite dark scenes in a particularly dark
Very
ending to
dark.
the movie. Yeah. So you'd go 4.5 as well, would you?
Yes, I would. I really, really enjoyed this, and I really want some sort of Blu-ray release of this
Yeah.
film.
We didn't mention the US trailer, which I had never seen until last night. So
Oh, yeah, no, you did. You said because it makes it seem like it's a
yeah,
completely different
the
film.
US
Yeah.
trailer is crazy. It just makes the film out to be something it's not.
So
It
don't
makes
watch
out
that. Don't waste your time.
yeah. No. Which might suggest why it didn't do very well. I guess it didn't do very well at all in the US. It must have had
But
a DVD or VHS release, I guess, in America, but
based on our score, we would highly recommend this film. Go out, try to find it
absolutely.
any way, shape, or form. We
Yeah.
usually don't encourage pirating or anything like that,
No.
but in this case, that's the only way you can watch this film.
Mhm.
So have at it, boys. Anyway, next week we'll be back with a lot of physical media news as per usual. And yeah, there's been a lot of cool announcements. And of course, Vinegar Syndrome. It's a new month. People.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm excited. Paul, I'm sure you're excited. But
Very
anyway,
excited. Mhm.
that's been it for this episode. If you liked this episode and want to listen to shows just like this one, head on over to www.projectlouder.net and anywhere else you listen to audio only content. That includes, but is not limited to, Amazon, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, all that thing. We're there. Listen to us, subscribe, comment, give us the thumbs up, give us the 5-star rating. It helps
Mhm.
us out and keeps us doing these shows. Thank you, Paul, for joining me on another episode of Celluloid Psychosis. It's been an absolute doozy me as usual. But I'm TG Bowser. That's Paul Ashford. He's very British. He's very
Yeah.
handsome. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.